Hi, this is Ashish R. Bidekar, and welcome to my podcast, The ARB Show. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Naresh. After spending 20 plus years in software consulting in the US, Naresh has returned to India to focus on promoting road safety via driver education. He observed that there was not a single driving manual in the entire country. So he published India's first driving manual for cars and motorbikes and later for heavy vehicles. He believes driver education is the foundation of road safety. He believes a well trained driver can cope with bad traffic conditions as well as bad road conditions to reach the destination safely. Welcome to the show, Naresh. Look forward to hearing your views on top five business trends in driver safety. Over to you.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for having me over. It's really my pleasure to be here.
Great. So, really looking forward to hearing from you the various trends.
Sure. So, road safety is like a buzzword that's been used in India for the last 15 years. And if you look at the bigger picture of road safety, right, the way the government calls it, or internationally, there's something called four E's, right? So, first E is education, which is, driver education. Second E is engineering of roads, engineering of vehicles, all of which will help make the road safer. The third E is enforcement, because we need an active police to catch the bad guys. And then the fourth E is emergency services like ambulance, right? Because they say if there's an accident, there's something called a golden hour. Basically, if you can get an accident victim to a hospital or a trauma center within the first 1 hour, the chances of that person surviving, is the highest. So now we have ambulances. So let's keep that in mind as we go through, the whole road safety show, because road safety is not just one component, right? Many players are there. However, like you had said in my introduction, my belief is that a well-trained defensive driver will be able to drive in any kind of weather conditions, any kind of vehicle, any kind of traffic conditions, and so on safely. And the way I can give an example of that is, Ashish, how many years have you been driving?
Yeah, for around more than 20 years.
20 years. Okay. So 20 years back, did we have outer ring roads? No. Right? Did you have a 4-lane divided top-notch highways?
No.
No, we didn't have it. In fact, how many cars even had airbags in those days? But we all drove. I mean, I've been driving since 35 years, right? So I started driving in my dad's Premier Padmini car. You know that stick shift one? I mean, it is really a backward car, right? It had absolutely no safety features at all. And we used to go, my dad used to take us in that all the way to Bangalore from Hyderabad, Ooty, and everywhere. Ghat roads and everything used to go. How did he do that? I mean, did he have a superior car? No. Did he have superior roads? No. It is just driver skill. So there are millions of drivers in India today who managed to learn driving in the old era when still there was some respect for the laws and somebody taught you how to drive. Unfortunately, the new generation of drivers have absolutely no exposure. Many don't even have like a father figure who can teach them from 16, saying, hey, this is how you need to do, this is how you need to watch me, and then start driving. So what's happening? Let's look at it from a business point of view, right? Because you said business. So who's driving our trucks? Who's driving our taxis? Who's driving our light commercial vehicles? Many of these people are, poor kids who migrated from interior villages looking for opportunities in the big city. They come here. They have not even driven a cycle in their life. They come here and somebody says, become a Uber driver, you'll make some good money, or truck driver or something. So they go somewhere, learn for 1 month, with a driving school or something, just learn the basics, how to this thing, and then they get started. And that's how people are dying. Because our cars, you can't blame our cars these days. They have two-speed wipers. Even the cheapest car has two-speed wipers, good headlights, has seat belt, steering adjustment, and so many other things that we did. Defrost. Think about it. We didn't even have a defrost button in the old Premier Padmini, right? So when it rains, you had to have a cloth and wipe the screen all over, right? So we've come a long way. So I think we need to stop, and we got airbags. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that I think we need to stop complaining about the roads not being so good, or the cars not being so good, and all of that stuff, and think about the driver. The person who's actually driving the vehicle, is he qualified? Is he trained? Does he know how to drive really? He may be knowing how to operate the vehicle. There's a difference between operation, as they say, ABC, accelerator, brake, clutch, steering, and actually knowing safety and defensive driving. So the country has actually failed us, I would say, in this regard. Why? Because in the old days, roads were very narrow and there was not that much of congestion. So people could get by even if they didn't know very good driving. But now, with the rise in GDP and everything, we have amazing highways where, you can cruise at 120 kilometers per hour. And only thing is the people are not equipped how to handle those kind of speeds. So the government has not changed the way that it issues the driver's license. So the driver's license system is still like an ambassador car. But everything else has changed. And so that's a change that we need to get from the government, that they need to recognize that there is a void in driver education, right? Okay. So now another aspect, as you're saying, from a business point of view, is like many businesses are understanding the cost of an accident, especially to a fleet, forget about individual drivers, fleet drivers especially, who are driving on the highways. So technology is coming to the rescue. Okay, we now have, sensors, extra fitting sensors. In fact, I was just talking to a person from a company called Drive Buddy AI. They use some artificial intelligence, but basically it tracks many aspects of poor driving, sudden lane departures, or not keeping a 2-second gap, because it's got sensors. So if you're tailgating another lorry, a lorry is tailgating another, it starts beeping, beep, beep, beep. It tells you, okay? And if you don't wear the seat belt, there's an inside facing camera. So even if the seat belt is hooked on to the seat and you sit on, the camera will catch you. Maybe you can fool the car system, but not the camera, right? And they also, like Safety Connect, for instance, this is a company I'm working with, Safety Connect also from Hyderabad. They also have an app. So the app records things like using, sensors in the phone. It can sense when someone is accelerating too fast, decelerating too fast, taking curves too fast. So all of that comes up on a score, and then they give you a score at the end of the day. And let's say your score is below 75. Then they deem you to be a risky driver.
On this point, is this also being linked with insurance, car insurance? So essentially, if you're a safe driver, lesser premiums, unsafe driver, more premium. So maybe incentivize or nudge people for the right kind of action. Is that something which is happening or planning to happen?
So I don't know about the insurance sector, to be honest, but it's a question that's been on my mind. The people who are paying for all our mistakes is the insurance company. Why are they not taking an active interest in such kind of tools? And I think it's a huge business opportunity. Actually, I would say a business savings for insurance companies to do something about this, right? So I'll give you an example. In the US, for instance, since I lived there, I can give you some examples. For instance, one of my friends, he would be he would speed a lot, you know. And they have sensors and they have traffic cops, they have guns, they'll catch you, and they have point system. So what happens is, like, if you're going 10 miles above the speed limit, then you get, let's say, 2 points. If you're going like 20 miles above, you get 4 points. And then if you're going more, let's say on a 60-mile zone, you're going 100 miles, you'll get like maybe 5 points, penalty points, things like that. So what happens is, sometimes they have a limit. You must have heard of the concept, like 12 limits, let's say 12 points, and you lose your license. And so somebody comes up to a 6 or a 7, and then they're on the danger zone. Maybe they reach 8, and nobody wants to lose the license in America, because other than the people living in some of the big connected cities which have mass transport, people living in the suburbs, you can't go anywhere if you don't have a license, because everything is far, far away. It's not like small Indian cities. So the insurance companies came up and said, "Okay, you know what? I'll give you a break. There is something called a defensive driving course. Okay, we put this course for you. Please take this course. You got to pay for it. It's not free, but it's reasonable. It is maybe $100 or something. You take this course, complete it, show me the certification, and I'll take 2 points off your penalty score, or 4 points off, something like that." So there's some reward for taking the course. So the course tries to talk about common mistakes that people make. And it also talks about behavioral aspects, like, why are you speeding? Let's look at, why are you speeding? You might be speeding because you love the thrill of it, or you may be speeding because you're running late to work, right? So both of them can be corrected by behavior. Running late for work, man, you need to change your lifestyle. You need to leave early. You need to make some lifestyle changes, things like that. They'll give you suggestions. Or if you love the thrill of speeding, then they'll say, okay, the road is not the place for you to speed, because what if you hit someone and the other person dies? You don't die, the other person dies. Now you got to live all your life with that person's death on your head. So these are things that they try to teach you. And I really hope that Indian insurance companies also come up with something like that, some kind of a program. So it's in their interest. They can save money. So, but coming back to the gadgets, yeah. So, we were talking about ADAS, so there are many which prevent collision. And these things are good for fleets. And I think logistics companies are investing in these because they realize there is really a benefit for having these kind of tools in their trucks. It also does a GPS. It also tells you how long this person has stopped at a break. I think some of them even have a kind of a breath sensor or something. I think if you're drunk or something, it can tell you. So it also sends a signal in real time to the headquarters. If someone is falling off, nodding off, lane departures, things like that. So it's not a thing where you later on say, "Oh, I know why this accident happened." No, they're trying to say, let's prevent the accident before happening. So somebody calls that guy and says, "Hey, Billu, kya kar raha tu? Where are you driving? I can see you're going all over the place. Stop, pull over to a side, stop, whatever, don't crash the vehicle." So some kind of timely intervention. So technology is definitely coming to our aid. That's an important thing. Now, if you look at another aspect of EHS, right? When you come to companies, they say employer health and safety. EHS, you've heard the term. It is really picking up a lot, and maybe 20 years back, it was a formality in some petroleum companies or fireworks companies not fireworks, combustible places, maybe they had. But nowadays, almost every place, even a manufacturing company, has realized that if a worker gets injured, then one is you pay for it. and second, that person doesn't show up to work, you cannot find another equally a trained person to replace his position in like a week, right? Like somebody gets hurt, he takes a recovery of 1 month. So for a month, the company is losing the productivity of the operator of that machine, whether it's a lathe machine or a assembly line, it doesn't matter. So I think we are seeing a lot of that, like in terms of EHS. But what I've been seeing recently is people have realized the value of driver education and they're bringing it into the bigger picture of EHS. So that is a very interesting thing, because I've been doing a lot of these kind of courses online for employees of good companies like Philips and divisions of Tata and so on and so forth. So what they are realizing is that I want my employee to be safe not just when he's in my office, but when he's going home and coming back. Because if he is going on his motorcycle and he gets into an accident on the way home, he's not going to come to work for whatever, right? I mean, there is an emotional aspect of the poor guy being injured and all of that stuff, but I'm just saying, it is a loss to the company too, right? Let's suppose you're in the middle of closing a 1 crore project, and your sales guy's got the connection with the right people in the company. He's working this deal for 6 months, and we are coming closer to signing the deal, and he goes out of action. What happens? Can someone else fill in and go and close the deal? Do they know all the nuances of that contract? No. What the customer says, no, we'll wait for him to come back. Right? Then it's a loss for the company till the person comes back. I mean, I'm trying to put it in money ways, because there's also emotional aspects. So don't think there is no human feeling. There is human feeling. But when you're looking at it from a business point of view, it doesn't help you if that person is out, for a month or so. So many companies in India are now realizing, hey, let me give a little bit of, a driver kind of a refresher, defensive driving. That's what I call it. I say, I'll give you like a defensive driving. Let's pick some 10 most common mistakes that I'm observing every day and what I'm reading in the newspapers. And I will teach you guys about those skills. Not everything, can't do everything, but hey, 1 hour, we'll do something. So companies are also bringing now driver education into the scope of EHS, employee health and safety. So that is a good sign, and more companies need to do that. They need to realize that the roads are very dangerous and risky. Okay. If you have any questions, I want to stop. I've been going non-stop now, so
No, that's really a fascinating conversation. So a couple of things. So one is, of course, from a government or a legal regulatory framework, which you mentioned about safety being central to whatever we do. Then there's the angle of insurance and some financial incentives or nudges for a good behavior. And the third one is the technology facets, right? It could be ADAS, or it could be some IoT devices in the car or vehicle, etc. Also, when you look at the kind of drivers on the road or law enforcement, right, specifically. So do you have any best practices around the world in which the traffic police proactively ensure that, the bad drivers don't drive on the road, or they have some specific mechanisms to deal with such players who are putting people's life at risk? So I'd really like to learn and hear from you on that as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point you brought up, because we are talking about the 4 E's, right? So we're talking about the engineering, we're talking about education, and this is the third one, enforcement. And very, very important. Enforcement is very, very important, because when there is strict enforcement, there is usually strict compliance. And as you see in countries like US and even Europe. So in US, I lived there for like so many years, right? So we stop at a stop sign. So when you come to a stop sign, the wheels of your vehicle have to come to a stop before you go. So you can't slow down and go. Doesn't work. And there is a joke, like there's a guy in a fancy convertible and he's at a stop sign and he slows down and he goes away. He's a lawyer. The cop stops him and he says, "Sir, there's a stop sign. You didn't stop at it." So the lawyer says, "Well, I slowed down, officer. I really slowed down and I went." He says, "I'm sorry, sir. The law says stop means you have to stop." So he says, "Slow down, stop. What is the real big difference?" So he says, "Sir, can you alight from your vehicle?" So the lawyer alights from the vehicle. It's a joke, of course. He takes his truncheon and starts hammering him. He says, "Do you want me to slow down or stop?" Now you know the difference? So, that's just a joke, they say. And nobody beats you in any US like that in reality. So, but the thing is, that's how much they enforce the law, the true spirit of the law. There's no slacking off. Slow gaya yaar, nahi ruka na, slow gaya, koi baat nahi. That's the way we have become in India. We're always jugaad, adjust, to a point now where there was a recent case day before yesterday in Hyderabad. So there is a gentleman who is carrying his entire family on a motorcycle. So they're like one kid sitting in the back, two kids at the back, then his wife. So they're like 5 people. So the cops stop him and say, "What is this? So many people are going." So that guy is saying, "Lekin main to helmet to pehna saab, kai ko roke aap?" He's not even understanding the whole concept that they think license hai mera paas, RC hai, pollution check hai, helmet hai, kai ko rok rahe? And the cop says, "Are itne log, 5 log kaisa ja sakte? Bahut dangerous hai. Aap auto leke jao." So then there's somebody taking a video, some bystander. And then the cop takes away the key anyway. And then this guy taking the video is still asking that guy, "Kya kai ko roke? अरे 5 जने जा रहे बोल के रोके, लेकिन हेलमेट तो है ना, हेलमेट लाइसेंस भी है, अरे kai ko रोकते भाई इन लोग, ये खटमल खाली पीली." That's a conversation that goes on. So nobody got the whole concept that there are some many different rules, of the road, and you need to know them and comply with them. So overloading a vehicle with 5 people is an offense. It's a big offense according to Motor Vehicle Act, Amendment Act now. I think there's some 3,000 rupees fine on, and maybe even 3 months of imprisonment if this thing. So yeah, I'm digressing, but the thing is that compliance is something in India we need to really step it up, and I think it comes partly with the old thinking, where people would say, like you said earlier, "Pata hai mera baap kaun hai?" That was the concept, right? Like 25 years back, a cop stops you, and then you're like trying to throw names. I know the minister, I know the MLA, I know this guy, that guy. And so our cops also have become very demotivated over the years, saying, "Arey kai ko panga lena? Fir minister se call aata hai, ye hota hai." He's like doing his job. Remember, the traffic cop is doing his job just like, let's say you're an engineer and doing something. He's doing his job. Now imagine if he does his job correctly and he gets pulled up by his seniors and then he gets transferred, he gets into all kinds of problems. People don't want him. So they let it go. So I think there is a big mindset change that we need to get, saying that, hey, I'm going to stand by the cops, if they are doing their duty without excess force or anything, and that's one thing. And secondly, cops themselves need training here. Our cops are so undertrained, they don't know the rules themselves. Things like they sometimes, I've seen them catch a guy who is driving without a helmet. And I happened to be standing there because I was at a shop and I just want to see what is going on. So that guy wrote him a fine for the no helmet. But the thing is that motorcycle didn't have mirrors. So you see, if you don't have mirrors, the fundamental rule of the world is called Mirror signal maneuver, right? Whenever you want to move left or right, what do? First check your mirror. It's khali, the lane is empty. Then you put on your indicator, then you make a lane change, right? When you don't have a mirror, where is the concept of mirror signal maneuver? Now the cop didn't know that, hey, I could have fined him another $500 for that, because it's very, very important and it's covered by the Motor Vehicle Act. And things like that. Like, what happens if your tail light is not working, your headlight is not working? You can check all those things. Your vehicle has to conform to safety standards so that you don't cause an accident. So I think, and I'm trying to convince this to even my own Telangana local traffic police teams and stuff like that. Who, whenever I get there here, I tell them, sir, you need to train your cops. The people who are on the roads, they can do a better job if they know all the rules. And they don't know all the rules. I'm sure they went through some training, but they don't know enough. And if you look at that, contrasted with, let's say, Western countries, US, the cops know all the rules. So you can't argue with them. Here people argue. That fellow in US, he will tell you exactly, according to so-and-so section, you cannot do this. And he'll also have a pepper spray. So if someone gets too aggressive and like, tu kone, this thing, they start coming forward, that guy will say, sir, in a very respectful way. See, that's what we need to learn. Stern, firm, respectful. So if you come any closer, I'm going to spray this on you. And you know what pepper spray, right? Really hurts you. It doesn't kill you, doesn't it? But you are incapacitated for about an hour. So they use tools like that, and everything, they have body cameras, so they know it's not being misused and stuff. So I think enforcement really needs to step up. Another thing what we do is we do only checking enforcement. Means like somebody says, chalo, aaj helmet or seat belt ka checking karenge. Kal drunken drive ka checking karenge. Like that. Air horns, too much of noise pollution, air horns checking on Friday. So this concept is very wrong. It's like when they're looking for air horns checking, they don't check anything else. So what is this kind of isolated periodic checks? No, the person who is a traffic cop should be trained and empowered to stop any offender. And we don't have that. We don't have patrol cars which are going. So it's only when you're checking you get caught. How about a patrol car which is going on the streets of your city, and if they see an offender, they stop him right there. So this is optics, what they call, right? The thing is, if I break a rule and you send me the challan via email tomorrow, it's a different thing. But if I break a rule and you stop me there, 1,000 people around are watching. Hey, this guy got caught because he broke the rule. Now that's a deterrent for you. He'll catch me also. But now, people, I don't know about, they say Bombay is good, but at least Hyderabad, Bangalore, and all, people kind of break rules with impunity in front of the cop. So enforcement, we need a different new way of thinking. Train our people.
Right. Thanks, Naresh. This gives a great perspective, and thank you to listeners for tuning in. Do subscribe, share, and like this podcast. Consider giving it a 5-star rating if you like the content. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.